Hi there, I'm Kaszina and I've made this video to get you thinking about one really important element of creating a great relationship, the partnership selection process. Now, there's a great variety to choose from. So how do you choose the man who is absolutely perfect for you? It's something that we women give a lot of thought from an early age. Does he have to be tall? Or is it okay if he's a bit on the short side, like Tom Cruise, providing he's cute looking? Does he need to have a good head of hair? Or will you settle for the Bruce Willis look? Does he need to be slim and muscular? Or are you happy with someone cuddly? These questions exercise most female minds at some point, but take a step back for a moment. When you buy a car, what's the most important thing? The optional leather seats, the drop headlights, the sound system and super duper spoilers? Or do you weigh up engine size, fuel consumption and running costs, reliability, comfort and the safety features? Why is it that when choosing a partner, women often get distracted from safety features like nice to small children and animals, easygoing and sunny-natured, because other things grab their attention like nice table manners, good looking and a nice bum? Now, these are all great features. Far be it from me to say that they're not, but you really have to decide whether any or all of them are indispensable must-haves or whether they are the icing on the cake. So here's the thing. What will tell you whether he's Mr. Right or Mr. Wrong? What are you really looking for? What do you need to know about him? And ask yourself, what do people say about him behind his back? Because that might be quite helpful. I'd like to introduce you to my little dog, Orlandino. Orlandino was, I'll admit, a rebound relationship. My heart had been broken by the death of a much-loved rabbit, and I really was hurting. But I only had to look into those velvety brown eyes, and it was love at first sight. I had to have him. He was so beautiful. So I took him home, and after the honeymoon period ended, I started to realise that he wasn't quite as perfect as I thought he was. Orlandino had a few character flaws. He was very demanding and attention-seeking. There was no way I would ever manage to house-train him completely. And he was a sex addict. He tried it on with everything that moved. The sad thing was I'd met his father, and his father was just the same. But I thought that if I gave young Orlandino a loving home, I could change him. I could turn him into the dog I really loved. So here's a tip I wish I'd known back then. Take a good look at the parents. Take a look at the children too, if there are children. And if you don't like what you see, and if you worry about your partner turning out like one of them or both, it's probably time to cut and run. The apple really doesn't fall far from the tree. In fact, if at any point you realise you don't like what you see, if his behaviours make you uncomfortable, that means he's not for you. Do what I did with Orlandino and you'll get the result I got. You'll end up with someone who is harder and harder work. You'll realise that you made a mistake, but at the same time you'll keep doing everything you possibly can to improve him. Because we women are so good at identifying potential. We can spot it in a prospective partner, and we know that with just a few tweaks here and minor changes there, he will be absolutely perfect. The only trouble is, it never works. Much as we may wish we'd been given a magic wand at birth, it didn't happen. So trying to change a man is one thing that just doesn't work. In fact, it has to be just about the most annoying thing ever from a man's point of view, and that's probably why mixed marriages never work. That's right, marriages between a man and a woman just don't work. Okay, joking apart, men and women have different ways of operating. And since you can't send a man to Mars whenever he becomes irritating, there are two great strategies you might like to consider. First, be sure not to choose a man you'll spend half your life wishing on Mars. And two, learn how you can let him know that you respect his differences in a way that he will appreciate. One more thing, the partner selection process takes time, lots of time. You don't just make that decision once at the start and live with the consequences like I did with Orlandino. It's a decision you can make progressively the better you get to know someone. And if at any point you need to change your mind, well, that's okay too. So please remember, it's your heart that we're talking about and the rest of your life. So take all the time you need to make the very best decision for your happy long-term future. And now, let me tell you how the love affair with Orlandino ended. He acted up more and more until I finally had to accept that he wasn't happy, and nor was I. He found another single woman who adored him and lived out the rest of his days in dog heaven and earth. Now I longed for another dog in my life, and I spent weeks and months researching the perfect dog for me, which resulted in Sharon Shih Tzu coming into my life. And then my marriage ended. It had been a pretty unhappy marriage, and a light bulb went on in my brain. I'd spent far longer researching my dog Sharon Shih Tzu than I ever had researching my husband. I married him within 6 months of meeting him. So I've spent years discovering all the pieces of the puzzle I needed to put in place to create a lasting, loving relationship. And I began helping other women to do the same thing. Fast forward to today. I have a wonderful relationship with a man who is an absolute delight to be with. I can't show you his photo because there is no way I want to make another mistake, and he's much too private to want his face all over the internet. I hope that sharing my story has given you a few aha moments. If it makes you think more about your partner selection process, then I've done what I set out to do. And if you like this video, please leave a comment in the box below. And remember, the difference that makes the difference can be something that sounds really quite small. Apply the partner selection process and create a wonderful relationship.